Always. We up. Always. What's up, guys? It's really the only perspective you should have if you choose to do what we do and you choose to play this game that we do. And that's called betting on the best sport in the world, boxing. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. It is Monday, August 10th, 10:15 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. This is our weekly recap of the weekend that was. It was a roller coaster weekend. We were coming off 3 weeks in a row of pretty much 95% wins. And so this weekend was a bit of a roller coaster. We had our wins, but you're gonna bad taste left in our mouth with how the weekend ended, and we're gonna get into all that. Appreciate the support. We just passed our year anniversary of having our JSB Discord, and we just passed 600 VIPs. I do want to make an announcement, guys. If you are a JSB insider on YouTube, or if you're a VIP Patreon and you're not in the Discord, DM me or send me an email. Also, on these recaps, I'm going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to just go over our tickets, our wins, our losses, and then I'll drop a link in the comments section if any VIPs want to come on and talk about it. There were, this is just going to be this is one of those weekends, and I was talking to the boys about this where, just as I talk about with fighters, what have you done for me lately? As bettors, we're only as good as our last win, and we're only as bad as our last loss. So, with that being said, don't harbor on the losses too long and don't celebrate your wins too long. We have fights in less than 70 hours. We have Wednesday night fights here in Australia. Well, Michael Zarafa. The odds aren't, the card isn't out yet on Sportsbet, but Bet365 does have 5 fights. Personally, I think this is going to be an A-side feast. The odds are kind of shitty. If you take the 5 A-sides right now, you're getting a 50% return. We're going to have to get sexy with some props, so just be patient. Hopefully, my book, Sportsbet, will give me some props in the next 24 hours. I'll keep you posted. Depending on your bankroll, the A-side for Queensland, 50% is kind of, it's a 50% return, so we keep that in mind as well. And then we have the Clarissa Shields card with K. Scott, and there's a few other, I know Tito Mercado's on that card. We'll get all to that throughout the week. But this is about the weekend that was. We missed one money line bet, by the way. One. And that's it. The only non-prop fight we missed was, and we missed it badly, was Sugar Neeks. Jesus Christ, Dina looked great. Dina Thorsman looked amazing. And the fight took place. What I don't think any of us expected was Thorsland to be able to keep Sugar Neeks at that range, and Sugar Neeks just couldn't get out of first gear. I had that fight on one ticket. Of the tickets I gave you guys, our quad hit the main one, and if you pay attention to the live streams, full transparency, you guys would have known. I said all week last week, the ticket I was going heaviest on, we hit plus 132. We hit our call it a short parlay, call it a safety net parlay, whatever you want to call it. I told you all week, this was the one that I was going heavy on. When we're getting into prop betting, it's really a roll of the dice. We hit a prop here, but we missed a prop here. We missed the David Nika knockout prop, but we hit the Aaron McKenna points prop. You know what I'm saying? So because neither one of those props were paying plus money, I was put in a position to have to put those on the same ticket. One hits, one loses, we lose, right? So the only ticket I had with Shernika was the MVP double on the money line. Tam Tebow hit. Shernika got beat every round. So these are just the breaks, guys. And I'm going to show you the tickets in a second. If you guys are new to the channel, believe me when I say this, ask questions regarding strategy. Winning consistently depends on the strategy you bet on, right? If you're trying to get rich by betting on anything, that's a fool's game. That's never going to happen. There's a difference with getting rich and then building a bankroll. It's very possible to build the bankroll. That's what we're doing here. And I put evidence up on my Instagram all the time of this. I have a VIP who has my number. She started with $50 4 weeks ago, and we've been on a roll. So also, you don't have to bet on every fight as well. I told her, the VIP who has my number, the only ticket to bet on was the 4-leg quad that I went heavy on, right? That's it. And so we started her bankroll with $50 and we're up to almost 800 and her goal is 5,000. And so I'll keep you posted on that. Let's pull up the receipts. This is our this is our quarterly parlay, by the way. This is our June, July, and August parlay. We hit our April, May, June parlay the quarter before. So if Moses Ituama wins, that'll be two quarters in a row that our quarterly parlay hit. So if you're playing along, plus 538, that's I always go full unit on my quarterly parlays. So this is in the bag here. You got to think Moses is going to show out against Hrgovic, and that'll bring us home. I'm going to do our next quarter parlay this week. So all the JSB insiders and the Patreon, all the YouTube VIPs, pay attention to the slips. We also have Dana White Contender Series on Wednesday. So I might bring Boss Christos on, or see if Ali TV wants to come on, or one of you MMA guys want to come on tomorrow to talk about the Contender Series. But I know the boys will be betting on it. All right. And this is like I said, I have no problem. We talk about our wins, but we also talk about our losses. And I think that's important. And it's kind of the sentiment I was talking about, the type of weekend for the boys. Now, this ticket, guys, is an accumulation of every single fight that you guys asked me through the week, by the way. So I didn't give this ticket as part of our VIP tickets. It wasn't part of it. But what I do is throughout the week, during my weekly live streams, when you guys ask me who's going to win this fight, I will, at the end of the week, I will build up all the fights. And that was the one loss. Okay, so this is our one money line loss with Shernika. She didn't look good. She did not look good. Shout out to Dina. Dina looked great. And this was the prop I told you about, the no hit. If you guys would have tuned into my Friday, live stream, I spent like the last 10 minutes of the Friday live stream talking about strategy and bankroll, and I was just giving you sort of like an insight on how I bet. Whenever I'm doing prop method of victory tickets, it's never my whole bankroll. I don't want to call it entertainment betting, but it's more about, let's see if I could get this right. You know what I mean? So I said that, like, we're playing Russian roulette doing prop. Like, I don't know any guy. And these are always going to be hindsight 2020, because you see my misses after the fights. And then David Nico, what we should have seen that, right? Nika's balance is off, or Floyd Mason super tough. Like, hindsight's 2020. Aaron McKenna on points. That one looked great for us. I told you guys all week, and I was asking the chat all week, am I glazing this kid? Because it's been like 2 years of me talking about Aaron McKenna and how I feel that this kid is going to be. 2 years ago, I said he'd be a world champion at 160. Boom, he's a world champion at 160. For those of you who might have questions, I want you to ask me, hey, Johnny, why did you think McKenna's performance was so great? It's all the little things that you can't measure on paper in what he was doing in the ring. It's how he controls distance, how he manipulates range, how he was neutralizing Etinosa, how he played Etinosa's game in the first few rounds, and then how he started using his angles and his feet. And dude, he is if you like the nerdy aspect of boxing, if you like the minutia of the sport, Aaron McKenna does so many things. It's almost like, if I had to be critical of him, it's almost like, bro, you have such a dynamic skill set. Like, maybe work a little bit on your identity a bit, or maybe the identity is just totally making guys at the world level look basic. Because there were guys on YouTube saying McKenna wasn't good. There are experts breaking it down saying McKenna was going to be in a close fight. I just didn't see that. And it wasn't how it was. It is going to be interesting to see McKenna against a power puncher, against the guy, because Etinosa did land his backhand a couple of times clean in the first few rounds, and Aaron wore it well. He has this sort of perpetual movement style. He's always kind of working. And I told you last week, one of my favorite things about McKenna was how mean he is. Was the when I say the optics of how he fights, that's what I mean. The body language of how he fights, how the round ends and he's turning, staring at Nosa down. Like that sort of thing. You can't teach that. And he's a joy to watch. It's gonna, we got Amari Jones at 160. We got Carlos Adames at 160. He's a tough night off for anybody. And I think Amari needs to kind of prove himself a bit more. And who knows? Is Adames a step too far? We'll see. I think the division just sort of added a level to it, a much needed level to it, a much needed pulse to it. And so if you played McKenna on the money line or on points, he was on both of our parlays. Now, this was our New Zealand parlay. This was the one, if you're in our Discord, what we do during the live fights. Shout out to Doovie Kid and shout out to KO. Shout out to Boxing Booth. He's our Kiwi fighter, expert in the field. And he pretty much told us, he was like, look, boys. And this was the thing, guys. All week we were being told about dogs. Who are the dogs? The dogs were not barking. I didn't see the dogs barking. I didn't think Mark Buke was going to win. I didn't think Kasparian was going to win. You know who the dog was that was barking? We found out our dog, Kay. Or Dina. I have Kay Scott on my mind because I'm taping Kay Scott and Clarissa. Dina was our dog. We got our answer. Our dog was the last fight. She was plus money on the books. But Boxing Booth in our chat before the Kiwi card started, he was like, he doesn't really see any upsets here. So I played the 5 favorites plus 175. And that we started our weekend off on we had 4 hits. We hit on the PFL, by the way. The VIPs we only hit on 1 ticket. If you're only paying attention to the VIP tickets, we only hit on 2 tickets, including our long parlay, our quarterly parlay. But if you're in our Discord, we hit on our PFL live stream parlay. We hit on our New Zealand live stream parlay. We hit on our quarterly parlay, and we hit on our quad. So we have wins, right? We're like we always say, we're going to leave here with something. And we hit on this, but this is one we got voided. This was the UFC chat double that I put in there, Johns and Asplin, but we know that Jesse Rojas pulled out. A win is a win. We got 41% return on that one. That was the 5th ticket. And this is the ticket of during the live streams every week when you guys ask me, hey, who do you think's going to win this fight? I might not give that ticket to the VIPs, but I create the ticket as sort of like a receipt. And so this would have been this plus 836. And these are just all my picks throughout the week. And we're not going to find dogs every week. You know what I'm saying? David Nika beats Mason. Cole beats Mark Buke. Hickey beats Axe. Ward beats Kasparian. Krause. What I told you guys about Greatest Krause. The Greatest Krause all week. Once again, I heard guys online, who's Greatest Krause? Any commenter, any boxing content creator that I heard last week say, who is this? I was like, you don't really watch boxing. If you're from Japan and you only watch Japanese boxing, then you just watch Japanese boxing. If you're from the Philippines and you only watch Filipino boxing, then you watch Filipino boxing. That's not us. We watch every card globally. So it's one of the things that our group, our Discord adds value to is we're going to educate the newbies on all of the contenders globally. And Greatest Krause, the knockout prop wasn't good enough to play, but goddamn, dude, nobody does that to his opponent. He came in, that I like what Julius said on our live stream earlier in the week. He was like, if Greatest Krause was born in Omaha, Nebraska, or if he was born in, Boulder, Colorado, he'd be playing wide receiver in the NFL. 100%. The kid comes from, his mom was a fighter. His dad looks younger than me, who's a fighter. There's a lot to like about Greatest Krause. Hopefully he was on your parlays. Callum Walsh. I've never been a Callum Walsh guy. I was a believer enough for him to get the job done. It wasn't like, there were moments in that fight where I'm thinking like Callum Walsh is going to destroy my parlay. Like if I don't have to, guys, I'm not going to bet on Callum Walsh again. He appeared on my quad because I felt like obviously he should be able to get one over on Denny. But for me, Callum Walsh has too many psychological gaps, too many questions in in his own ability, because you see it in flashes. You see moments where you're like, all right, this kid could be great, and then it's just not enough. So to me, I think that's psychological as a coach and as a former athlete. So too many questions for me for Callum Walsh. Aaron McKenna, like I told you, you know how I feel about McKenna. Tam T-ball, 38% on the money line, should have been in everyone's parlays. And then Shernika, we know, it just didn't go our way. That's right now. That's now. All right. And this is so this this is one of our VIPs. It's a girl. She was like, Johnny, she was like, how so I'm trying to get her to get to $5,000 off of a $50. I've kind of taken this on as a challenge. So 4 weeks ago, she deposits $50, and then she's been taking our short parlays. If you've been playing along, we're a month, like the last 3 weeks, we pretty much hit on everything, and I'll tell her who to take. So now we've built this up to we built her up to 760. And I told her, I was like, look, I tell the chat all the time, if it could pay a bill, deduct it. You put $50 in here, you're up to 750. She's trying to pay for her birthday party, which she spent $5,000 on. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Other than that, I'm gonna say what's up to the chat. Pardon me if I'm behind. We are 15 minutes in, so the chat's gonna be pretty crazy. Sup, Mike? Little showtime. Did good. Youngin in the house. We nearly had a perfect week. All it takes is one, brother. Morning. Guys, wherever you are in the world, let's like this video. Let's get the likes up. Get money. Grandmaster Johnny called it. You did. Troy fried the round robins. Why did I leave Billy Pickles? Yeah, so I didn't play Troy and Callum on the money line. I did get talked into the fight to not go the distance, but I'm a man. I got big shoulders. I carry that on my own back. But yeah, close, mate. Close. We're back in the lab. Dude, when you collectively as a unit, as a community, our hit rate is insane. It's just that we expect not to lose. That's why our community is so strong, is because I make sure our moderators do the best that they can with weeding out the trolls and weeding out the negativity. You got to think about it. Betting is very superstitious. We don't bet with superstition, though. We bet with research. You know what I'm saying? But the overall temperament of the community does matter. So, keeping it positive is a very important thing in both the wins and losses. Johnny, what's good? Want some good cash? Galley, Mac, Moneyline, Tam. Get your money, King. The books aren't showing. Yeah, let's be patient with the books, boys. Hit that 4-leg parlay. Let's go. Yeah, we found some wins, boys. We found some wins. Callum and Galley would have saved your weekend, man. I was hoping you snuck. The only reason, Barry, I'm good read. The only reason I didn't sneak it in is because when I did my early, that early quad that hit, I wasn't getting Amanda yet. You know what I mean? And I hadn't rewatched the Callum fight. And so part of like when I put those tickets in, I'm getting early reads on my book, and I'm already putting it out to the VIPs. And I guess as the week progressed, why I didn't add Amanda, because I had already given out the 5 tickets. So it had nothing to do with like not agreeing with you. It had everything to do with me being a little bit too kind of locked into my systems. And sometimes we could get handcuffed by our own. Like in my head, I was like, I'm not giving out more tickets this week. There's not a lot of fights. And you see what I'm saying? But yeah, it was a great read. Mosby, I did well this weekend. McKenna fought very intelligent, nice, safe bettors. Mosby, I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate you supporting the community. Always a pleasure to hear when you hit, brother. Nick's performance was confusing. Just put up a high guard and didn't throw enough. Likewise with my underdog pick, Kunado. Yeah, you were pressing me on the Kunado. Did that come through? I wasn't high on the UFC card. I went 0 for 1. My dog got put down early. Jesus Christ, Gamrot got put down. Shout out to Quill and Sackhill. Shout out to Boss Christos, who's a VIP. I think shout out to Ranvar Lidar, who's a VIP. Shout out to John McGanna. All the boys who are on Quillen, like, where I get caught sometimes, and you guys got to call me on this, sometimes, and this usually only happens in the UFC, where I could get caught up is sometimes I give the vet a little bit too much credit, because, like, statistically speaking, I've seen the young prospect get dusted before. And so as of late, if the conversation is this prospect contender real or is it just hype? We've seen it a lot in the UFC where those prospect contenders are just hypes. And I've seen Gamrot in world title level fights fighting, so, if anything, it was a my dog of the week. He got put down. I didn't put a lot of bankroll on it. And now moving forward, you learn from your mistakes. And I'm a believer in Quillen. Quillen looked good. Look long, look hungry. More importantly, Quillen's body language. He just looked comfortable. Even in the grappling exchanges. I had never seen Gamrot lose the grappling exchanges, the transitions, the chain wrestling side of things when Gamrot was trying to change position. Quillen stayed calm and composed, and he was beating Gamrot to the spot. And Jesus Christ, dude! I guess they're wrestling and grappling in Australia because if you know anything about wrestling, the narrative of wrestlers over the last 20, 25 years, especially in MMA, it was always a thing that the Americans wrestle because it's in our schools, and that the Brits couldn't wrestle. This was in like the Michael Bisping era, like the weaknesses for the Brits. This is about outdated, but this is what they used to say. And then the Aussies definitely weren't wrestling. But shout out to Quillen. And obviously those stereotypes are wrong now. Need the green tick for Zarafa and Terramona to cash my most. Okay, so you have Zarafa and Tara on a live ticket. Good job. What's your thoughts on cashing out tickets? I'm not against cashing out tickets, E-Money. It really comes down to your bankroll. It comes down to the streak you're on. It comes down to what your living situation is. I mean that. We have a lot of in our Discord, there's going to be temptation because there's a few guys in there who are big, big bettors. Guys are showing slips of winning 100K. Guys are showing slips of betting 30,000. And it comes down to what you're doing it for. I don't do this to get rich. Like I'm a boxing guy. I enjoy watching fights. I enjoy fighting. I enjoy predicting the fights. The betting came second for me. So if anything, I'm always siding on the air of caution. If it could pay a bill, if it could pay your mortgage, if it could pay your car off, if it could double your, like, if you have more money in your betting account than you have in your bank account, cash out. Do you see what I'm saying? And so that's kind of how I stand. I try not to live in absolutes with this sort of thing because there are different variables to everybody's situation. How much did you put in? Like if I have you put in $500 and you're trying to win. All right, we had a guy in our Discord a month ago. He put in, I think, $800 and his max, and I think he would have won 300,000. It's fucking insane. I think he would have won 300,000. I could have this wrong, and the numbers might be off, but you'll get the gist of this because how it played out is accurate. He cashes out. He had a cash out option at $31,000 on an $800 bet to win 300,000, I think, and he cashed out at 31,000, and I think it might have hit. So it's like, if he doesn't cash out on the 800, you got to think about both sides of the coin. If he doesn't cash out on an $800 bet and he has $31,000 on the table and he lets it ride and he loses, he left $30,000 on the table. That's one side. The other side is if you do cash out and it hits, that's a tough pill to swallow as well. So it just comes down to the variables. This is good, Johnny. We also review our losses. Yeah, you got to, because it's in our losses. It's in our losses that's where we learn, bro. Now, I don't want to undersell our losses. I don't want to come off because you guys see my like I'm shoulder to shoulder with this is our community. I was more upset with Shanika's loss because I knew there were dude. Our group had hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table there. Personally, I didn't have a lot of money on that fight. I feel guilty because I had action on that fight and I was wrong and all the other guys were wrong. And, we do have a very responsible and mature and educated community to where everybody tends to take they take ownership of their wins and losses. That's why I don't like getting credit for the wins, but I do get bashed for the losses. But it happens a lot less and less as we grow because our community is so educated. I was just more upset because, man, very rarely, like, we had so much money on Shanika, not just our group. I'm gonna play you a message. I'm gonna play it right now. This is a message I get. This is one of the messages I got. I'm not gonna tell you who it's from.
This is fucking sick. I don't know why I'm watching Johnny. I need to go to fucking sleep. I should just pull a picture of her fucking montage for her ass and just jerk off and go to sleep. Because that's, if she spent as much time fucking worrying about her boxing, cutting off the ring, going to the body, she hasn't done a single fucking body shot, by the way. If she did as much time, spent as much time as that, if she did picking out what fucking thong she's gonna wear to the weigh-in, she wouldn't lose this fight. What a fucking stupid cunt. I'm gonna fucking blast her on Instagram. You know what? I'm gonna troll her and get blocked. Fuck it. The only reason I'm still watching this fucking is because I got my force.
I'm gonna troll her and get blocked. But but yeah, it was. We hate losing, man. And like, if you guys are new to it, ask questions throughout the week. You would have seen, like, hey, Sharnika's only on one of Johnny's tickets. You know what I mean? If you only see a fight on one of my tickets, it's high risk. McKenna showed up on 3 tickets. So if you're not following along, ask quite like, who are there any fighters who are on multiple tickets this week? That's a question to ask. I can't spoon feed everybody because I do this as a, I talk to so many people throughout my day on DMs. If you catch me on the live stream and you have questions about it heading into fight weekend, it's a good question to ask. If you're not paying attention, we want Ian Gary. My man, I was reading Dina body language all week. Did you hit on Dina? Dina looked great, man. Don't sleep on Quill. I'm not sleeping on Quill. The quad was money. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. What exactly is your strategy? Give us an example. Hypothetical amount. That's a. I'm kind of what. Okay, from a betting perspective, I go the heaviest. If you look at all my tickets that I've ever given, that I've ever made public in the last year, every single ticket is plus money. What does that mean? Every single ticket will at least double your bet, right? So throughout this journey for me, it's usually, I used to call it a safety net parlay, but I don't like using the word. There is no such thing as safety in betting, so I removed titling it that. But it's usually the tickets, and I'll say it throughout the week. I'll say, hey, this is the ticket I'm going the most heaviest on. And it's usually a 3 or 4 legger, 3 or 4 favorites that are paying us plus money. Then I go heavy on, and I'm doubling my money. Because come on, man, we're doubling our money. And then it just depends on your bankroll or what you're willing to lose. I don't want anybody here betting because you need money. That's going to sound crazy. I don't want you guys to be this ruining your week. If a loss is going to destroy your bankroll, don't gamble. If one loss is going to make you do belligerent things, don't gamble. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my message. Another week of making bank. Skeezy in the house. Perth is what's up. Missed out on a 50-60. Yeah. And the thing is, Skeezy, shout out to Perth. Shout out to your boy Quillen. Also your boy is fighting on a card. I think isn't Kira Rustin? I think Kira's fighting Wednesday. Hopefully we could get odds if he is on that card. I saw Kira in person at the Tim Zoo fight. That motherfucker's a monster. I cannot believe Kira Rustin makes weight at the weight class he fights in. Jesus. You could kind of tell he's big because his shoulders like this, but he must have been over 200 pounds. He was massive. I was fucking hell, dude. He's a beast. Kira Rustin's you better mark. I made my top Aussie prospect list 2 weeks ago, and I forgot to put him on it. I said Callum Peters and Ahmad Rita, but Kira Rustin's right there as well. Sugar Chi. Yeah, that's about right. We all did. We all did. Where do you rate greatest in light heavyweight landscape? I've always like I use you guys to hold me in check if I'm glazing fighters. Um, when I when greatest fights, I tell you he's gonna win. I say if you could get the knockout prop, play it. I've always said that about greatest. I've told you the story about his father, who it was a fighter. His mother's a fighter. I put him up there in the top 10 already. He's just has a fight IQ about him. He has the pedigree. He's super athletic. There are questions. We've never seen him past what? Has he even I think he might have went 5 rounds once. So it's going to come down to, moving him properly. Is he ready for Dimitri Bivol or Artur Beterbiev? I can't sit here and say I got too much respect for the game. And maybe maybe that could be a downfall of mine. I put too much respect towards, sometimes vets, or too much respect. If a guy's jumping up too far in weight classes, I'll sometimes be a little bit cautious, saying that historically in boxing, these things don't pan out. With a guy like Greatest, who doesn't have a lot of rounds, who's been so dominant, we just kind of have to keep an eye on how he deals with somebody with more experience. Time to put him in there with either a former world champion or guys who fought for titles. You got to think that would be the next move. But some people are trying to sell me on Hemphill this week because Hemphill, in recent fights have gone to the UK and he's upset the A side before. I said that's not going to happen against Greatest. Why? Because that kid, he's prepared for this moment. The only time a massive dog, usually in boxing, when we see massive dogs win, I'm talking like plus 500s or more, it's usually because the A side underestimated their opponent, came in unprepared, didn't take their training camp serious. The one thing you, as a bettor, can always rely on moving forward with Greatest Cross, he comes from the pedigree of that kid is never going to not come in prepared. And as a bettor, that's what you want. You want to make lists of these sort of fighters. He's in that category of a fighter. Always going to come in tip-top shape, always going to come switched on, always going to come in prepared, and it's going to be fun to see how they move him. Can clarify if Julius was no distance for the Simpson fight or not? I'm not quite sure. Oh yeah, not on our live stream. Jay, look, no one's 100%. Julius is like his hit rate's like 90%. He's a savage, but he made a good take. I know Barium took Simpson, and Julius took Simpson. They both were on Simpson. I wasn't going to bet that fight due to PTSD from the first fight. I told you that all week. And I didn't bet the fight until my Friday live stream. I'm a bit of a cowboy. I did will the fight go the distance. I said no at plus 110. I think Julius said, and if I'm wrong, I'll retract this statement. I think Julius might have said Simpson by stoppage because he wasn't sold on the 35-year-old vet. Historically, when you see guys in the mid-30s, so yeah. Itama knockout minus 200. Add that to any. Damn, you're already getting that's the end of the month, right? That's not this weekend. We'll get there in a second. Guys, we got about 85 of you in here. Can we like the video? And then I'm going to pull, we might as well pull up the props. And I'll take any of your questions specifically. If any of the VIPs want to come on the chat and kind of shoot the breeze, maybe talk about their wins and losses, I'll leave a link. Props, you shouldn't bet crazy on bet more on your quads. Yeah, that's kind of where we do it. Let's go, Johnny. Let's go, Shy Bears. We got football season coming up, boys. I sincerely believe Nika made that solid. Yeah, it looked like the silent agreement. He wasn't. I got to be honest, too, man. Mason, this is Monday morning quarterback, hindsight 2020. Mason looked good on the scales, man. He looked like he was in shape. Mason's a punching bag, too, man. But I found out that info an hour before the fight. No Limit made a nice haul off of it. Nice. No Limit's probably one of Pickles. Boxing Boo told you guys about Pickles. Billy Pickles was out here eating. Good price on him too, Box. Would you get him at 60% return? No Limit is probably one, and this is a compliment to No Limit. He's probably one of our most opportunistic bettors. He comes to the game with no ego. He asks questions, and he bets accordingly. And if you're in our Discord, you'll know what I'm talking about. His bankroll is high. He can be a bit risky, but I feel with anything in life, especially if we're trying to level up, asking questions is very important. When you think about sociopathic or narcissistic behavior, and I'm tapping into my psychology background here, one of the key elements of this sort of behavior is the inability to ask for help, because that shows signs of vulnerability. And and there's different levels to sociopathy and psychopathy. Narcissism is that they have these type of personalities have the inability to say that they're wrong, or the inability to admit that they don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm as a teacher and as a guy who used to teach leadership and personal development to corporates in Las Vegas, I'm a big believer of asking for help. Asking for help, asking questions is one of the highest levels of leadership. It's how you level up. No Limit. So it doesn't shock me, Barium, that No Limit, in the 11th hour, took your insights on board and made money off of it. The dude's a beast. Adamus, Adamus is an animal. The Tam almost got Botox on me out there. I was sweating. Yeah, Tam's a beast. But dude, Auntie Dez is a beast. What's up, Rez? Rez is my guy. Let's go. You did. There's Christos. Hey man, this is the best part of what we do, boys. If I sat here every week and acted like I hit every one of my bets, or acted like it didn't give flowers when we would disagree, we wouldn't be growing. I think that's kind of one of our secrets as a team. I called you, bro. You said it all week. I guess I needed him to believe. He needed to prove it to me, and guess what, Christos? Your boy proved it to me. He's a nightmare. His frame too. Jesus, how long he is. Wild, wild that he's only been in the UFC for what, 16 months. That Sam Hickey was absolutely brutal. Bro, there were some crazy moments this weekend. Or how about Stephen McKenna's knockout? That shit looks supercharged. I don't watch anime, but I assume if there, or, how he hit him and how his body just went like that. I was like, this looks cartoonish. Tam beat the. If that fight took place in the UK, would have been stopped. Her corner tweaked by Lauren. Yeah. No, she did, man. And this is kind of the question the boys are already asking about this weekend with Clarissa Shields and Kay Scott. Auntie Kay, even though Auntie Kay is 42 years old, these Aussies, I told you guys all last week, these Aussies, the one thing that they are is they're beasts with their strength and conditioning programs. You know what I'm saying? The physicality of these Aussies, it's a bit different. They take their strength and conditioning it's almost like they mold their boxing game around strength and conditioning. And so it doesn't win you fights at the highest level, but I mean, Auntie Des had all the belts. And what does that mean? That means they're durable. That means conditioning makes you be able to take more punishment too. So a sign of bad conditioning are guys who get stopped or girls who get stopped like that. They weren't conditioned, or you could have just got hit with a clean punch. But Auntie K is going to be in shape. She's bigger than Clarissa. Clarissa's not a puncher. Clarissa's wild. She's super inaccurate with her shots. She's aggressive. Kay Scott and Clarissa have sparred before. Kay Scott's a former Commonwealth fighter. She has an amateur background. I think at least 100 amateur fights. And she's going to come in shape. So if I get odds, I'm probably going to take Clarissa on points. Should have saved her. I agree. What happened to the insider who fought in Zuffa? Mike, he lost, but I just watched that fight. Tyler, he went by Tyler Christopher on the fight card. He fought Mauro Silva, a young prospect in the UK that they're putting a lot of money behind. I think it might have been on the BOXERR card though. This might have been on the Ben Shalom card. I could be wrong. It could have been on the Zuffa card. No, the Zuffa card was in Ireland. This was on the Ben Shalom card, the BOXERR, BOXXER. And everybody was saying he was going to get dog walked. He was like a 4-1 dog. People were saying he was going to get stopped. Dude, after the first few rounds, I mean, I kind of low-key had Mike up. It was close early, and then you kind of got to see why he was the underdog. But he didn't get stopped. I felt like he fought, he gave a good showing for himself. And you know, you move on, right? As a fighter, you know, great, you know, that life experience too. You're not going to be able to sit and tell him that. He's not going to act like it's a good thing that he got his first career loss. But I think in hindsight's important, perspective's important. Hopefully, he has the right people around him. Hopefully, his team is positive and they care about him enough to kind of, you know, so he's not hanging out by himself today. You know, that's where it kind of gets dark. Sometimes fighters lose for the first time and that's it. The people just abandon them. So I sent him a message. I sent him a DM and yeah, it went the distance. Johnson cost me on all my tickets. So somebody asked me earlier, Johnny, what do you mean by strategy? Strategy is this. In the past, Jay the guy 1886 and I would have been friends because this used to happen to me when I was new, when I was a younger better. And then over time you realize no matter how excited you are about a fight, no matter how stoked the odds are in your favor, what you want to never do is load up one of these 50-50 fights and put it on all of your tickets. Strategically, it's a dumpster fire waiting to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to be risk adverse in your week to week betting strategies. I would never put a 50-50 fight on every single one of my tickets. That fight showed up on one ticket and it was a double. It was her and Tam. So if she loses, I'm going to be salty because it was a bad read, but my bank account's not going to feel it at all, right? Because I'm not going full unit. And I told you guys this all week. So adjustments moving forward for Jay the guy is when you're making your tickets, keep that in mind, man. You know, I'm not like I had McKenna on 3 of my tickets, but he was a 32% return. Dina and Shernika all week were pretty 50-50 on the odds. You know, Dina never quite went into chalk. She was always sitting around plus 105. But the confidence I had in Shernika to put her on more than one parlay was very low. So I was just impressed with Dina. Shernika just looked flat. She couldn't get out of gear. She didn't fight at the range she usually fights in. She looked disinterested, and Dina looked amazing, man. Shout out to Dina Thorslund. She's going to be a handful. Shout out to Mike Tyler. I thought he could have gotten a draw. I'm sure that it had to be an amazing experience, man. That's what I'm talking about. He's a 31-year-old. Like I'm 44, so I could say this. He's a 31-year-old kid, dude. He's a 31-year-old kid, man. I was 31 when I moved to Sydney, Australia. I was 31. I had $300 to my name at 31. Fucking savage. I had my passport. I had 2 suitcases, $300. I was like, let's go. I got a 6-month working holiday visa. And I was like, I'm gonna try to make it work. I was living in Vegas at the time, just finished grad school. So let me go to Sydney real quick, see what time it is. I never left. So at 31, that's what I was doing. Him at 31, this dude's getting introduced on an international card, being spoken about in boxing groups. I look at Mike as a friend. That's an experience that hopefully he could take that experience in and out of the ring and double down on it. You know what I'm saying? Use it for good because I think he's already won. You don't need to win every fight to win. Mosby, completely agree with you on Walsh. The guy who's making my hair great, bro. Walsh is not my guy at all. That stuff about Tam being ragged on, I'll tell you that. Bury him, dude, bro. The way you operate, you're like a safety blanket, bro. Thank God you came in with your with your post. The boys in the Discord will know about this comment, but we like I said earlier, the betting side of things, you guys know how it is. It can be very superstitious. So with that, and you know, when guys are wrong, I'm not going to shade them. I appreciate the effort, but some guys get a kick out of finding edges or finding little leans on like, oh shit, maybe we have this wrong. And there was this video that was being circulated in our Discord, which was real, of Tam Tebow losing or getting disqualified in an amateur fight not too long ago against the #1 rated amateur in the world in the weight class, this Chinese girl. And so a lot of people were like, oh shit, you know, should we be hesitant on betting on Tam? And then Barium saved the day with his Superman cape and wrote one of his, you know, exquisite write-ups and analyses on why, as Tam Tebow betters, she should appear on everyone's parlays. This isn't an issue. These are the reasons why I went this way, that sort of thing. So shout out to Barium. King Callum Walsh had some trouble with Denny. Good thing he still won. Yeah. That Callum Walsh had me sweating. Of all the, like, think about it. David Nika, like, I knew that I wasn't sweating Nika. You kind of knew after the third round that knockout wasn't coming, so I was pissed. McKenna, we were in good hands. Who's our other one on that ticket? Who were the four? It was McKenna, and we got plus money. And that's my whole goal every week, guys, is to find how to double your money. Yeah, we had four. And I put that greatest cross. I made that bet, guys, last Sunday. So that's another thing. If you want to be like, who's Johnny most, what's his most comfortable bet? Well, when the fight is a week away and I'm giving you the ticket the week before, yeah, Nika, Kraus, Callum, and McKenna. Callum Walsh was the biggest sweat. And I like, how about those weird knockdowns? What was he doing? Like he had these gaps. Like I don't know, man. Yeah. Tyler Christopher held his own. He did, man. He should keep his head high. Watching the weigh-ins where all the money is made, my friends. Believe me, it's very safe to go before him or in bets. Yeah. I said earlier. What's up, Kevin? I said earlier. I don't live. You can't have absolutes. You can't. This. I'm going to disagree with this. I'm definitely going to agree with him, though. Everybody should use the weigh-ins as a tool, but you can't. It doesn't always. Kevin, you wouldn't agree to this. It's not always 100% telltale sign of what's going to happen. And if you do get a good read, and you see something in the weigh-ins, and you switch and it hits, you feel great. But it would be ill-advised to say to always wait until the weigh-ins to place your bets because the markets change, the money changes. A lot of sharp money happens early. But I agree on the fact that if you really take this serious, like you do, Kevin, and myself, and the 80 people in here, we're watching the weigh-ins for that exact reason. Body language, how bad was the cut, nonverbal communication, where's their eye contact, all this good stuff. So it's a good point. Yeah, Walsh does these weird things in the ring, like turning away or hanging his head low, expecting the ref. Yeah, he's a head scratcher, man. I hate how superstitious I am. You gotta manage it. Like if you're really superstitious, then don't say you hate how superstitious you are. Use it as a positive. Just manage it. I'm glad I took your advice about not betting every fight. I had a 4-leg that gave 90% return and wanted an extra leg, decided not to get greedy and just and this is why I love to do what I do. This has been my whole intention on these live streams and building our community is like through my losses and my experience on betting since I was a kid in a lot of sports, it's like it's like you have to mitigate risk. You can't get greedy. I talked about it last week. I used the UFC as an example. Guys get caught trying to bet every single fight. You don't have to bet every single fight. I know we got in. There was some back and forth with some guys in our Discord this weekend about Mark Buke and Kasparian. And I think I was coming. I don't know if I came off how I wanted to come off because it's always tough to get your message across via text. I remember I used to run a business with an old business partner of mine, and we had a rule. If there was ever an issue, don't text. Always call. Because it's really hard to purvey intent through text, and it's really easy to misread what those texts mean. And some people, it's really easy to offend people. But there were guys who were saying that taking Mark Buke at plus money was a good bet, and taking Kasparian at plus money was a good bet. And my pushback on that was, I'm never going to take a guy just because they're plus money. Like, I will never take a dog just because it's plus money. And if it loses, I'm going to say that's a good bet. I don't think that's a thing. I think if you take a dog at plus money and it loses, that's a bad bet. A bet that loses is a bad bet. The only good bets are the ones that aren't made. So, or the ones that win, obviously. But a bet that isn't made is a good bet. A dog at plus money because you think it's a value play and it loses, that's not a good bet. And so we didn't, all week I said, I don't see any dogs. There was one. It was the last fight of the weekend. We got our answer. And after like the 8th round, I put in the group, I was like, well, at least we know our answer now, who the dog was. Because I base my dog money off of what I see in the ring. I'm not going to ever base my dog money off of what the odds are. Right. And so if you're selling me on that, we're going to have to debate that, because you can't lean back and say, well, he was plus and he fought and he should have won, but he didn't win. What did you see in his tape? How did you think that kid was going to win? With the politics of the whole thing, where the fight was, like, all of these things matter in every fight. And I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that a bet that lost is a good bet. That's hard for me to reconcile. The extra leg would have been Sugar Nick's. Beautiful. I'm so glad you didn't do it, bro. Hate to say it, but sure. You think Nika beats Vidal? Hate to say it, but no. I don't think Nika beats Vidal Riley, dude. Vidal Riley impressed me against Chev Clark. Now, I know I have to probably watch. I think Vidal Riley had one more fight after the Chev Clark fight. And that Chev Clark fight seems like a long time ago now. It was on the undercard of Chris Billum Smith and Brandon Glanton. But Vidal Riley he's he's more mobile, way more, boxing me. Why did Nika leave camps? I didn't know he used to train with Joe Parker's coach. His name's slipping my mind right now. The former champion. Ben Whitaker's coach now. His name's slipping my mind. I know it. I talk too much. I didn't know Nika used to train with him. Andy Lee. Nika trained with Andy Lee. I'd like to know some insights on, because usually guys will go to Andy Lee to level up. I know it happens. I was kind of shocked to hear Nika used to train with Lee and he left. Trolls that are dissing are the ones snuck in your pet rally that their girlfriends paid for. You keep winning, they keep losing. Because appreciate you, Mister Getting No Money. Gamer got put down. That surprised me. Yeah, bro. Gamer got put down. Gamer got put down, boys. I'm never gonna be the guy. Like, I'm never gonna be the guy to lose a bet and then call the fighter who won the worst gamblers, or the guys who lose a bet and then call the fighter that won a bum. Like, when I can't even hang around people like that. Like, I don't care if I lost. It's gonna sound crazy. Like, we don't live forever. So my outlook on like existentialism is a bit different. So like my life, I live like knowing that it's going to sound morbid to you guys. We all die. So our time is extremely limited and rare, right? So I try to do on a daily basis, have an awareness about this, and how this is related to what I'm about to say is, even if I lose $10,000 on a guy and the other dude I bet against had a great performance, I'm gonna compliment the other guy. It's just how I am. I was like, dude, bad read on my end. I lost, but damn, that dude was good that night. I hear so much online of guys that I know who lost their bet and then they A, won't talk about it, or B, act like still defend the guy who lost by bashing the fighter who won. I'm like, dude, I don't play that game. Canado had her in an armbar so close. Canado is legit. You told me about her, man. Yeah, but you know what my dad used to say about so close, Mike? Horseshoes and hand grenades. Props flopped, but money. Yeah, yeah. You know, the design of the props flopped, right? If we would have, hindsight's 2020. You know, some guys took Callum on points. You know, you take Callum on points and McKenna on points, that's a bag. You know. Troy Isley versus Hicks. Guys, people are selling this Troy Isley versus Hicks fight because I'm pretty sure Joe Hicks might have gone 3-1 in the amateurs against Troy, which I don't put much credence to. Troy, at this level of his pro career, is a skilled fighter. He does good things in there. He's not a big puncher. I think Troy wins this fight on points. Warsaw, up the wall. Let's go. Anyone that has more money in their bet accounts than they do in their banks don't understand simple math. Your cash should at least be in, or keep enough in your books to fund each. Do you see? Gaza, Gaza, Gaza. But it's true, bro. I'm sure you've had friends. While I lived in Vegas. Now, guys I know look at their sports bet account, dude. Clients of mine, not clients of mine, but I know a guy like his bet. He'll have like, how are you gonna ask me for $100 when we're out, but you got like $8,000 in your betting account? It's like, bitch, what are we doing? It happens. It's not Paulie. That wasn't Paulie, by the way. How funny was that? Mark Hughes surprised me. Was it boy can box low key? Mark Buke, baby, the goat. We bet on that wasn't Paulie. Trust me, it wasn't Malinaji. He doesn't sound like that. What's Johnny hit for 1.6 taking a trip to Cancun? Your picks with mine. Thank you, bro. Nice, man. Bro, Mayo in the house. Look, dude, what I used to go to Cancun in 99 and 2000 for spring break. And then when I was in my mid-20s living in LA, I would go to Cabo San Lucas, the Baja Peninsula. Bro, I haven't been to Cabo San Lucas since 2011. It's one of my favorite places in Mexico. I love Mexico, man. It's one of my favorite countries. We still up. Youngin, going to Europe next week. Time to hopefully double my. All right, Youngin. Message me either in the Discord or Instagram. We don't have a lot of action this week, though. So if you're putting a time limit on doubling the bankroll, there isn't a lot of action this week, and I'm not getting a lot of odds yet. But we're gonna find plus money. So message me just so I know what kind of bankroll you're working with. Don't bet your rent or mortgage money. Right on. Korea got the taper with the shoulders. Korea. Oh, I think you're talking about the light heavyweight, the Aussie from Perth, right? Greatest Kraus, best performance of the weekend. Beast. All three Gary's about to have a title. How you feel about that, my boy? That dude, is Antonio fighting for a title? I'm a fan. Like when I talk about the Garys, Gary Russell Jr., the fastest hands in his era, generational hand speed, mate. Gary Russell Jr., people, what generational hand speed, dude. Gary Antoine Russell, one of my favorite southpaws. Aggressive, like when you watch GAR, he has a title at 140. He was in a real close fight with Andy Hiroka. Andy Hiroka beats a lot of guys at 140. Andy Hiroka's a big dude at 140. Andy's good. Andy can punch. And I thought GAR was beating Puello. I thought that, he mismanaged his gas tank against Puello, and then we saw everybody's high on Rayo right now. We saw what GAR did to Rayo, and then he fight. These aren't easy fights going from Puello to Rayo to Andy Hiroka. So I still feel at this stage of the game we haven't seen the full potential of Gary Antoine Russell. Now Gary Antonio Russell, he's the middle one, right? Gary Russell Jr. is what, probably 39 now. Gary Antonio's 33, and I think GAR might be 29. I didn't know this was for a title. Johnny, will you share your yeah, so my go-to is college football. If you're in our Discord, I will be posting my college football picks. You still like Van? I gotta think about it, Floyd. I gotta think, like the UFC, there's so much parity in the UFC. You guys, we've won money on Van before. I've won money on Van as a dog. I've won money by betting against Van. I picked Charles Johnson to beat him, and we got CJ at plus 325. Yeah, it's a good. Pantoja's good all the way around the board. Pantoja's a real veteran. Josh Van's a really confident guy. Gets better with every fight. I love his boxing. Obviously, it's always we're as a group we always bet with the BOXERR, kind of. Shout out, you guys picked Ty Miller. Ty Miller really wasn't on my radar. Jesus Christ, he looked good. He started out slow, and his punching is very sneaky. because his hand, he doesn't have fast hands, but he has good timing and he's long, massive for 170. And he beat the dog piss out of Billy Ray Goff. Dude, Billy Goff is a beast. Like, it's not like Ty Miller made Billy Goff look amateur. Billy Goff is a tough dude, super athletic, and Billy needs to get a new corner. I know people have probably been talking about it. Between the second and third, Billy Goff's corner telling him to just run and not engage. Probably already has a broken orbital. Jaw was probably displaced, and his corner said, "Don't engage." It's like, bro, that's like Billy got the piss, dude. Hopefully he's okay. Who you got of Zepeda versus Mason? I'm a Cleveland guy. I'm an Ohio guy. We just won money on Zepeda. Zepeda's a tough out, bro. Obviously, I'm gonna wait until it goes official, but that's gonna be a tough one. I got Najee Lopez by knockout and Ryan by decision. If Abdullah and Zepeda go, I got Mason. Well, Najee is fighting in 2 weeks, and Ryan is fighting in 2 weeks. Oh, Mason and Zepeda, they're not even close to fighting, are they? Just cooked up a small moonshot for the boy. I'll check it out, youngin. The wildest comment of the weekend was Goff's corner sending him up. Okay, Mike. I'm just catching up to the chat. I stayed away from all. Good. Yeah. If I'm feeling a prop, I'll let you know it. Even if I'm playing a prop, I still tell you, tread lightly. I don't know if you tapped into my live stream late last week. We spoke about props in the risk management of betting on props. Sometimes we're forced to bet on props, right? We're forced to. Terramona money line, $1.03. That's unplayable. If it's the only action we're getting, in his knockout will probably be $1.16. Generally, I would never play a $1.16 knockout prop. But certain weeks, if we're looking for action, we sometimes have to get tricky. So the way I look at props, I'll play them, but you got to tread lightly. Johnny, what up? Another good weekend. Appreciate you, blue collar. Yeah, I read it wrong. I feel you. I agree. Personal issues. Different part. Okay, Andy Lee. Nika's coach is his fiance's father. What do you is this a good move? What's the chat like in New Zealand about this coaching? Like, is this the camp that is? I mean, he has a world title shot. I was just gonna say, is this the camp that gets Nika to the next level? He's fought for. Didn't Jai have the belt when he fought him on short notice? So Jai already had the belt. So he's fought for one, and now he's fighting against Vidal. I had 2 5-leggers. One was plus 707. The other lost out on one. Yeah, so sad night. Still won 700. Good. And this is we can't let's use the Chernica loss, boys. You got to use your losses for your advantage. You know what I'm saying? You got to use these. The one money line loss we had all week out of like 25 fights was Chernica on the money line. How do we use this as a positive? Here's how we use this. For you bettors who had Chernica on more than one parlay, you now have a lesson to learn from. Moving forward in 50-50 fights, don't put the 50-50 fight either way on more than one parlay. You know what I'm saying? Disperse it. Be strategic about this, boys. Lesson number 2. How good's Dana? I can't wait to see her fight again. So we then learn from the loss. We take with Dana. Dana's dude, I've never seen her that strong, by the way. I've watched her fight before. That version, the physical, you can even see it in her back, dude. I was like, as soon as I saw the fight start, I'm like, damn, this chick, she's going to come out and just fucking ruin it for us. And how, like, she wasn't fading. She was just, like, usually she fades, awkward as hell. She's so just weird to deal with. Her timing. She was a bully in there. So it's not all bad, boys. You got to have a long-term approach with this. Sure, we lost the one fight, but there's a lot to take from it. This is a long. We don't have a season. It's every week. So if you're keeping notes, if you're serious about building a bankroll, put it in your notes. Star Dina Thorslin, and when she fights again, you'll know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? And then star Shernika Johnson loss in quotations. Be more risk adverse when putting 50-50 fights on multiple tickets. There's lessons here. Anything? Yeah, right now the Clarissa card, we're only getting Clarissa on the money line at crazy odds. Look, I'm probably going to lean on Kay Scott's durability. We talked about it before. These Aussie women are always going to be in shape. Kay Scott has an amateur background. She's 5'10". She's big. She's strong. She is auntie though. She's auntie Kay. She's 42. And Clarissa's not a puncher. Clarissa's 5'8", slaps her punches, doesn't sit on anything, isn't accurate, kind of a sloppy puncher. So I think Clarissa on points is the play. I don't have the prop though. Yes, we are getting action on the Wednesday fights. The Wednesday fights go down here in Australia. Zaraf is headlining. If you have Bet365, guys, you are getting 5 fights. This is a feeder card. We're feeding the A sides. This is that type of card, guys. We don't get them a lot. We don't get feeder fights a lot, but when we do, we load up. So the 5 A sides right now is only paying 50%. And if that's all we have, we can't force it. We can't force things that aren't there. But I'm not going to leave 50% on the table. A 50% return, think about it. That's a great return. In any sort of, I hate using the word investment because some of my boys work stocks and they would try to put me in an armbar if I use the word investment regarding betting. But in that world, 50% is unheard of. So that being said, if that's all we have for Wednesday night, of course you take the 5 A sides, you get 50% return, you stack that heading into the weekend, and then we'll go from there. Amazed at how you can read something confusing in chat from 20 to minute, 30 minutes. You're gonna pick up. Yeah, I read a lot and I write a lot. I don't know. I'm a nerd. What's your thoughts on Troy? Yeah, Troy Isley fight. People are going to be getting high on his opponent because they have that amateur record. They fought each other multiple times, and Troy was on the short end of the stick. We're going to get into it more and more when the fight gets presented to my book and odds. Just keep in mind, guys, Troy isn't a big puncher, and it's kind of being kind. Him on points would be the play. Sent an email, Discord, Nathaniel. All right, I'll catch you. No time limit on me. I'm always looking around. Okay. Yeah. Good. We'll build then. Because I'm not in the Discord, I lost money betting against. Oh shit. This is okay. Harry, what's up, bro? So this is the dog. You know who you bet? You know Eels is Mike Tyler's training partner, which was kind of interesting because they both gave good performances. This is on the BOXERR card. This is the Ben Shalom card. If you looked at my tickets, I didn't touch that fight. I didn't like the odds on it. But there were a couple knockdowns, and he was what, a 4-1 dog, maybe more. He won, and then Mike Tyler was a 4 to 5-1 dog, and that was a close fight. So there's positives to take if you're in that camp. Shout out to Eels. I still want some money, but not as much as I was supposed to. You'll get it next week, big dog. Victor Santin. I don't like how he fights. He exits all the way pretty stiff now. Yeah, that's something about Nika. It's gonna sound crazy because he is 6'6". This is gonna sound crazy. He almost looks like he's drained. Now I don't know. I'd like to see what his sparring looks like or his strength and conditioning. But do you think could it be one of these things that he's leaving pieces of himself in fight camp? Is he what's he walking around at? Because when you very rarely see a guy who's 6'6", who's that shredded with no body fat, and so it just tells me is he cutting a lot, or is he just training too much? To me, he almost looks overtrained. He almost looks like a guy who's leaving a lot of himself in fight camp, and that happens. I don't have these answers. But those are the two questions I have when pretty much every time I watch Nika. That's what I think to myself. A, how the hell, what is this guy walking around at? And B, what's his training like? Admin question. If you want to look up someone's tickets, is there a way to search that in the disc? Yes. So all you have to do is go into the search bar. And if there's a specific user, like no limit, you just type no limit in the search bar and you'll see the whole everything, his whole individual posts. And then you just scroll up. Throws arm punches, but will always back to Kiwi. Do you think Amanda and Sky when they're Sky pulled out? Sky was supposed to fight at the end of the month. She's injured. No, she's not fighting. I bet live. Yeah, betting live is a very good. A lot of the boys bet live. I can't bet live because my book doesn't allow it. The book here freaking makes us call. I talk about it all the time. So yeah, she has a pitbull style. Gift quad. Terry Harper, Najee, Ramon Cardenas, Nikita. I got to look ahead. I'm going to get on the books. These are a couple weeks. Terry Harper -3. Dude, Barium, I got somebody in my ear telling me that Terry Harper is on upset alert. Who's she fighting? Somebody that's like well reputed in our industry was telling me that Terry Harper might. Who's she fighting? Miranda Reyes. La Corona. 2 losses. Yeah, I don't know. I got to look into it, but I have one of my boys is like, dude, her opponent is good in terms of like matching up with Terry's style. I haven't looked into it though, but I'm sure you'll look into it. Dina was good on her feet, in and out. Yeah, Dina was fun to watch, boys. Like, and that was like watching how that is the worst way to lose. I don't know what's worse, boys. If you pick Cherneka in knowing it was just a slow burn, inevitable, and like by the fourth round, there was no way. Is that worse than just your guy getting knocked out? I think the worst way personally to ever lose a bet is how it played out loud. Like watching my fighter lose that way was freaking painstakingly miserable. Amanda Serrano is a very tough fight coming up. What are your thoughts? Yeah, they're marketing Serrano as this is the fight that they're marketing for her to break the record, to set a new female record. Sky is injured. She's not fighting. Amanda wins by knockout to break her. I told you our chat is super intelligent, boys. You guys get no odds. I get no odds. Be patient, Harry. They're coming. Long way out. Early predictions, Canelo and Billy. Canelo early odds by decision. Look, I don't rate Billy that high. I'm sorry. I don't. I also have to be real with Canelo. He turned pro in what? 2007? The iPhone was invented in 2008? These are just stats. Canelo has a lot of tread. It could come down to this Billy gas tank and this Billy pressure and pace. I don't have a great read yet on that because I'm not a historian. I'm not a Canelo fan. I'm not a fan of fighters. So it's on paper, this is going to be a fight that's going to split the Discord. The casuals will come out. It's one of those fights because it's Canelo. So I just want you to know my perspective when I see a fighter with sort of like that's so enigmatic like Canelo, I don't instantly bet on him. I had McKenna, perfect, Toxic. You're out here eating. Nika used to really struggle to make heavyweight in the amateurs. He's been like that. Okay. And you're a coach, and you're seeing what I'm seeing then. Yeah, so maybe he just somebody needs to rein him in. And maybe, I wonder if he has to be tracking everything, heart rate variability. I'm sure I assume that the strength and conditioning, he's in a good camp when it comes to that. You'd have to think. He's just a genetic freak then, dude. That kid is so big, no body fat. Vidal will box Nika's ear off. Yeah. I think so too. Do you think Rolly? Well, Teofimo's not a puncher. We haven't seen Teofimo's power since the Pedro Campo fight in 2022. Teo's never fought at 147, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. I had McKenna unanimous. Toxic out here eating. Toxic is out here eating, dude. Hrgovic can beat Ituama? I don't think so. Shout out to Hrgovic. I don't think so. Do you think George Littard has an easy win coming up? Littard isn't he in tough with a Argentinian? Is Littard fighting an Argentinian? I'll get to that. I'll get to that tomorrow. He's in my book. Did you bet? No. No, bro. I got cooked. First round, Dina, Phoenix. Yeah, same. Well, I still had hope going into the third. I'm not lying. I was like, I thought I was seeing a game plan from Shanika. I thought the game plan was going to be understand her range, get her timing, let her come in. Because Shanika was like the announcers, look, I know it was a whitewash. The announcers were very pro Dana, but in those first two rounds, Shanika landed a couple clean jabs. So she's coming in with a high guard, not quite winky right, but here she's getting hit with a lot of these punches on her guard, and she's trying to find an opening. And there a few times the jab was landing, so I was like, all right, I can see what this game plan is going to be. She's going to eventually cut the distance and force Dina to fight her on the inside. But Dina's movement and Shanika not being able to cut off the ring, Shanika not having the speed advantage, Dina being bigger than Dina just being in better shape than I've seen her. We like guys are gonna hate. Oh, I saw that coming. Just you must have not watched her tape. No, bitch, I watched all the tape. Dina never looked that good. Sometimes this happens in fighting. Sometimes you get people level up. And shout out to Dina, dude. You got to tip your hat. Great game plan, great athleticism. She didn't fade at all. She was just better. She was just the better boxer too. Terry Harper opponent is tailor made for Terry. She has nothing for. Okay, she looked great when she fought against Caroline. She did. But a lot of people were playing Caroline by the knockout. Dude, Terry's good. I was just relaying a dude in my ear that you guys know who he is. I hate using the word. He's a famous guy. Fucking the most cringe-worthy word in the history of humanity. No, but when he messages me and it was so random, I kind of listened. He was like, "Watch." He didn't say Terry was going to lose. He just said, "Hey, what do you think of her opponent? Watch the tape." He was kind of insinuating that she was in for a tough fight. She's fighting Miranda Reyes. The Mexican has a little pop, but slower hands and feet. Harper has fire. Okay. This is the guy you want to listen to about female boxing and boxing. 3-division champ, and this fight is in the UK. I was watching. Okay, perfect. There you go. So Terry Harper on points. MVP card in the UK aside from Michaela Mayer fight heavy on the UK girls. This card is tailored around. Perfect. So we're eating. Guys, we don't have to second guess things. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you get weekend, like this past weekend, a lot of the favorites won. So if you played your cards right, it shouldn't have been all bad. Like the Discord, because whenever the last fight on our ticket loses and it's the last fight of the weekend, it's normal for it to feel a bit like a funeral procession. But it shouldn't be. You guys should. We won tickets, mate. You know what I mean? And sometimes you're gonna have these weeks where a lot of the favorites win. All of the favorites won, except the last fight, and then Mike Tyler's training partner. That's somebody in the chat said that he bet against and he got upset. I got Joseph Brown. Joseph's my boy, man. Yo, on this channel, I've been interviewing Joseph Brown since he was 16. So scroll through my playlists, go to my playlist, interviews with important people. I know Joe's dad. Joe's a good kid, man. Pacific Northwest guy, Canada. I think he still trains with Benavidez Sr. out in Vancouver. The Prodigy, that's my boy, man. Shout out to Joseph Brown, my young buck. Stud. Keep an eye on that kid, man. That kid's he's very talented. Lives in the gym, super dedicated to the game, educated, he reads. Like he's an impressive young man. Joseph Brown, the Prodigy. Littard is fighting an Italian, he probably stops him. I like Littard. I was holding on to hope too. It's what we do, Boxing Booth. It's what we do. What do you think about Tam versus Robinson? Tam versus Shields in 2 to 3 years. Dude, Tam Tebow is here now, right? She's 29 years old. She's 6 feet tall. She you know what? bro, her style, how long she is, how like she is put together. Like she is ready for anybody right now. She's very impressive. And if you tuned in and just saw the blood, that was from a brutal headbutt. It wasn't from a punch. And she did whatever she wanted in there. Her movement, like she's skilled, she's aggressive, she's a joy to watch, dude. Can you see Zarafa? Bro, we know when Zarafa is the hammer, like Zarafa's a guy historically that he's built his name off being the hammer. What does this mean? Certain fighters, when they're supposed to win against competition that are a little bit below them, they look like freaking world beaters. Do you know what I mean? They look insane. Like watch some of Zarafa's highlights and fights that he won by stoppage. You'd be like, this motherfucker is a beast, boy. But then you put certain fighters in like 50-50 fights, or maybe they're a dog, and then they kind of disappear. And this is our sport. I don't think Zarafa is going to disappear in this fight. You know what I'm saying? I like Mike too. I'm a fan of Zarafa. I know it's a little far out, but do you think Carolina Dubois is easy? We'll check it out tomorrow, Angel. Clarissa fighting at 42. Let's go to. I don't know, man. Kay Scott's an Aussie. Kay Scott's a Commonwealth amateur fighter with fucking years of boxing experience. She's the bigger girl. She's going to probably be the stronger girl. Kay Scott's 5'10", absolutely ripped and shredded, always in shape. Guys, these Aussies, these aunties from Australia, I tell you guys every week, we just saw it with Auntie Des. These Aussies, the one thing they're going to do is they're going to come in shape, and they're going to be durable, and they're going to be big. And Clarissa can't punch. She's not a puncher. So I'm not. Clarissa wins, but I think Clarissa on points is probably going to be my play. I go make it back with Teo. Let's go, Teo. Littered opponent Morello was dropped by Hermie last year. Never heard of him. Exactly. I'm sick. All right, guys, we got a lot of work to do. Yeah, I think Clarissa on points will be my play, by the way. And that's just based on Auntie K's durability. 85 of you guys in there, 90 minutes in. You guys are the best. We got a lot of work to do. If you're new to the channel, this is the film study segment of our community. It's Monday, August 10th, 11:37 a.m. here in Sydney. We have fights in about 48 hours. We have the Wednesday card. So if you're in the Discord, I'll be putting my notes up there. You guys know I do live streams every single day. Pay attention in the VIP Patreon section and the VIP YouTube section for tickets. I'm going to be posting the first one today. And we got a lot of work to do. Let's watch this film. Let's share our notes. Let's make this money. Let's go.